Japan's former Prime Minister Shinzo Abe has died after being shot during a campaign speech in the city of Nara in western Japan. Joining me from Tokyo is Koichiro Matsumoto, Deputy Cabinet Secretary for Public Affairs at Japan's Prime Minister's Office. Hello there. Thank you very much indeed for your time today and what must be an incredibly difficult day. Just, if you wouldn't mind, bringing us up to date with developments. What happened and where? This was on the campaign trail for elections this weekend, wasn't it?
Indeed. You heard from Prime Minister Kishida just now. Prime Minister Kishida came back from his electoral campaign early in the afternoon. He was praying for the recovery, hoping that Prime Minister Abe would somehow recover. He was shot by a man in Nara Prefecture, which is in the western part of Japan, close to Osaka and Kyoto. At 17:03, 3 minutes after 5 p.m., former Prime Minister Abe passed away. And this was confirmed by the hospital and by the doctors and the Prime Minister Kishida himself. That's where we are now.
And it must be a terrible shock to the government and the country as a whole.
Exactly. We are feeling the excruciating pain, and Prime Minister Kishida expressed that he's terribly sorry for the loss of this great statesman, and he also said he's speechless, and he wishes that Prime Minister Abe's soul rest in peace.
And when people think about Japan and government and politics, that is one man that stands out, really. He's one name that people will remember, given the fact that he was perhaps in office for so long, the longest-serving Prime Minister there.
Yes, Nick, he was the longest-serving Prime Minister in Japanese history, and one of the most prominent leader of our time, not only in Japan, but also around the world. Among he was held in high regard for his deep commitment to diplomacy, economy, and national security. And he was a strong believer in Japan, and he helped his nation recover economically through his policy package called the Abenomics. And this sowed the seeds for the economic recovery that we are enjoying now. And also, he was very much eager to upgrade Japan's defense capability and security legislation. And also, he was also a champion for gender equality, putting in place corporate governance codes, promoting diversity in Japan.
And that means that he was really well regarded as some kind of, not revolutionary, but really wanted to bring Japan forward.
Precisely. At 67-year-old, he was still very much determined to serve the country he loved, he dearly loved. And Mr. Abe, as you know, served for 2 terms as Prime Minister between 2006 and 2007, and the second time, 2012 and 2020. So he's always remembered dearly by the Japanese people as the longest-serving Prime Minister of Japanese history, and he is such a kind person.
And it was only that he left office because of this recurring health problem that he'd had. Otherwise, he'd still be there, no doubt.
I would defer from that. I'll make a comment on that. But let's just say that he was he will be remembered as a great statesman. And he excelled in the love for the country.
Indeed. And tell us about the gun control, the gun laws, because this is something that's very, very rare to happen in Japan. And that is perhaps why the country is more shocked today than it might have been, that somebody was able to make what looks like an improvised, homemade device of this type.
Yes, we are not yet certain about the picture, the big picture of the background of this entire crime. So I will not comment on that with some definitiveness. But you're quite right. Japan is quite famous for the very strict gun control. Any possession or acquisition of guns as such without the permit is illegal.
And what happens now in such circumstances? This is unheard of. You won't have gone through this, will you? But is there some kind of period of mourning now for the former Prime Minister? What happens? What's the protocol?
Prime Minister made it very clear that we're now in the middle of election campaign, election period, but he said that he will conduct the election as planned. We will not give in to this terrible violence, which may shake the very foundation of democracy, but we will not give in to it. And he was very stern. And he was saying that we will continue the election campaign as planned.
All right. Well, I once again do appreciate your time on what is an incredibly difficult day. Thank you for coming on to the programme and remembering Mr. Abe for us. Thank you.
Thank you very much.